Hi, hello, hello. It's so nice to meet no one, speaking into the void, just how I like it. Third time's a charm. This is the third time I'm doing this because every time I try to start, it just doesn't seem right, which is probably because no one thinks to record themselves and then have it be good, unless you're like a Hollywood kid, which I'm not. Didn't get that advantage, but that's fine. Um, since I am talking to the void, I debated on whether or not to introduce myself, and I decided, no, I think I'm just going to be a random voice talking to the void. I'm not going to introduce myself, and if you don't like that, then faculty will tell me. They will tell me to introduce myself. But who's even going to listen? I shouldn't say that in the thing, because someone will correct me. But someone corrects you, you correct yourself, and then you keep on going. And I'm going to open a different tab because I don't like listening. Not listening. I don't like seeing the actual recording happen because it freaks me out. What's the point of this? What's the point? We've talked for about a minute and I haven't told you what we're doing here. Well, what we're doing here, dear void. I'm going to have to come up with a name for you because I can't have a conversation with just a random nothing. You have to be a specific nothing. And my specific nothing will have a name. I think I'll just call you Void. Okay. So, Void, what we're doing here today is we're going to do the first episode of my podcast, which already makes me want to barf because that is so cringe to say. But my idea was that we're going to talk about movies, we're going to talk about shows, maybe even if we're feeling especially excited, we can talk about YouTube videos. I know. But there's some good stuff there. There's some good video essays, the rabbit holes that you go down for 5 hours about Disneyland or Defunct Land and you don't understand anything, but you watch it anyway because you want to know. The human mind craves information. I really hope they don't listen to this before they post it because I don't want to talk about this. I will cut out everything. Don't think I won't. But today's thing that I want to talk about, today's media that I'm going to go on a tangent about, I think that's the show. I think actually, Void, I think that's the show. I think that's the show's name. I think the name of the game is Let Me Go on a Tangent. And drink water. One moment. I've already been talking for 15 minutes. Not in this one, but in a different one altogether. Because I said this was the third try. And hopefully the last one. I've been talking, I think, in total about 15 minutes already. What we're talking about today, the media I'm going to go on a tangent today, in particular, is the classic. The British classic, and for me, childhood classic. The film. The cinematic masterpiece. Wallace and Gromit, Curse of the Were-Rabbit. Now, hear me out. Guys, hear me out. Just go on this journey with me. Okay, Void? Just go on this journey with me. I love this movie. And I watched it again with my family because we were looking for something to watch. And I tried to bring only the highest quality bangers for my little brothers. I have 2 little brothers who are about elementary school age. I try to bring only the best things so that they trust my judgment and that we'll have the same taste when they're older. That's my master plan. So I picked this one because they just put it on Netflix. I highly recommend it. They just put the movie on Netflix. And we watched it recently. And as an adult, I don't understand why, as a child, I loved it so much. Because I still love it, don't get me wrong. But it definitely has the advantage of being, for me, a childhood classic. Because as a child, I would rewatch. And it's interesting to see and to think about because that is a media it's not American, it's a British film. Excuse me. It was made by the British animation company Aardman Animations. Wonderful, wonderful crew. And it's very interesting. I actually did research. Void? Guys, I did research for this. And it's very interesting the history of this company because they had a chance. Well, I say chance. They had a brief collaboration, we shall say, with Hollywood and Hollywood Animations. I think it was with either Pixar or DreamWorks that they did this with in Hollywood. And they made about 2 or 3 films. And they ultimately decided after that they should just stick to being homemade, homebrewed British animation. They went back to Bristol. That was horrible. But they went back and they chose to only be doing animation for British audiences. And it's interesting that I latched onto that as a child and I still enjoy it today. It's just a very particular brand of humor, but I would love to get more into the history of this. Let me look at my notes. Editor, put this in. Did you get any of that? That's me flipping through notes. Guys, the joke is that I'm the editor, and this sucks. I can't wait to get feedback on a thing I've never tried to do before, and on things that I don't know how to do. As I said, this is the first episode. It's also weird to call this an episode because, guys, this is a bad production. Like, it's good equipment, don't get me wrong. Like, it's good equipment when you're nervous to be touching it because it looks expensive. Yeah, that's when you know that you got the good stuff, which I'm appreciative for, but also, I forgot my point. What was my point? Yeah, it's weird to be calling this an episode because the production is just me in a room by myself, not knowing what I'm doing or what I'm talking about. And also probably a lot of ums and uhs that I won't find and won't cut out. I will be cutting out some stuff. Like when it peaks. Like when I do that. When it peaks in the red. But also just adjust your volume. Wimp. Just do a Markiplier does. Adjust your volume. Just turn it down. I'll cut that. So, should I do the rundown of the film first or should I do history of the company? Because there is actually a really good documentary on Aardman Animations that's very interesting. I didn't even know that all of almost my favorite movies are done by the same company. And they're all stop motion stuff. So that makes it even better because if you're an art nerd, then stop motion makes your brain go. It makes your brain go like that. Scratches that brain itch as an artist because you have to be so dedicated. It's like being a doctor. Hear me out. It's like being a doctor in the sense that if you are doing this, you have to know that it's what you want to be doing for the rest of your life. Because not only is it a huge commitment to financially, it's a huge commitment mentally because you have to want it. To do it every single day. It is obsessive work. Being a doctor and being stop motion animation, which, I hope that is true for doctors. Because if I don't have a doctor that wants to be a doctor, I don't want them as my doctor. You know what I mean? If you're half-assing it as a doctor, that doesn't feel like a good profession to be doing that. What was my point? I'm just going to do a little rundown of the history of Aardman because it's so interesting. And I lied. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to just reiterate what a documentary says. Honestly, just go watch it. Just go look up Aardman documentary and go watch that. It has David Tennant and the guy who was Watson in BBC Sherlock. I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. I could look it up. I have 2 computer screens right in front of me. I'm going to look it up. Hold on. Because that's unacceptable. It has David Tennant. Martin Freeman. That's his name. I was thinking of Michael Sheen because I've been watching Good Omens, which is an episode for another day. I could talk for 2 hours about Good Omens. And I probably will. But that's for another day. It's Martin Freeman, David Tennant. They both have voiced multiple movies for Aardman. And then it's also the Curse the Were-Rabbit, which is what I'm supposed to be talking about. Oh my god, that's and Peter Sallis. Peter Sallis is the voice of Wallace. And Hutch? Oh, I think Hutch is the dog. Let's get back on track. Void, you are horrible at keeping me on track. You have one job. Hey guys, you had one job and it was to keep me on track. Okay, guys, I know I just cut that. I know that sounded weird and it was weird, but I already deleted it so I can't go back. Just pretend that that was a really smooth transition and ignore the fact that it was a really harsh and unprofessional cut, okay? Okay. I'm glad we came to this agreement. So, I am bad at synopsizing. Is that a word? It's a word now. Movies. Just for now. I feel like I'll get better at it. But for now, I'm just going to read to you the synopsis on Google and then add on to it with my own little flavor. Okay, so the plucky characters, excuse me, I should get on my reading voice. The plucky characters from a series of animated shorts, Wallace, Peter Sallis, and his dog, Gromit, no voice actor, he's a silent character. I love him. He's one of the best silent characters ever to put to screen, and I mean that. Make their future debut here. After starting a pest control business, the pests being rabbits, which is understandable. In some places, they are considered pests, especially Australia. In Australia, okay, wait, side note. In Australia, there was a hunter, like a rich hunter, like a couple 100 years ago, who went to Australia, and his favorite game was rabbits. So he took rabbits to breed there so he could hunt them. But because he's rich and stupid, as they are, he didn't have a plan to get rid of them or like a cleanup plan. So now these rabbits are mating and breeding like rabbits and making more of themselves, and they have no natural predator because they're an invasive species. So in Australia, they are considered pests, and that's why they don't have the Easter rabbit. They have the Easter wallaby. Side note over. The duo soon lands a job from the alluring Lady Tottington, Helena Bonham Carter, rest in peace, to stop a giant rabbit from destroying the town's crops. Both Wallace and the stuffy victor, Ralph Fiennes, Ralph, rest in peace, vie for the lady's affections. That's a weird word, vie. They just both want to date her. Just say that. If Wallace wants to please his pretty client and the best victor and best as in defeat, guys, get with the program. As in defeat, he needs to capture that pesky bunny. Okay, so basically, Wallace and Gromit. Wallace is the human and Gromit is his dog. Wallace is an inventor of sorts and Gromit is just his trusty sidekick, and they're the best duo ever. They get into a lot of shenanigans, and they don't have a lot of work-life balance because the start of the movie is literally them in their house, and they get a call because everyone in this town has them on call for like pest control, and they get a call in their house that like wakes them up. And you would think that they would have an office for that, but no, they work out of their house. No work-life balance. They really are just like us. Just like one of us. So Wallace and Gromit go to the call, and they're getting like just regular bunny rabbits. They want vegetables, and this town has a lot of vegetables. This town has an annual, an annual vegetable competition, like one of those big, like if you've ever been to Texas, those vegetable competitions where they grow super big and it's like that pumpkin is on steroids. That's exactly the situation. And they have rabbits who want some of that good carrots. They want some of those carrots, some of those cabbage, some of those. What's another vegetable? Give me another vegetable. I'm just gonna say pumpkin. So they have all these rabbits and they are in need of pest control, and Wallace and Gromit are it because they have all of these inventions and gadgets that make the job super easy, and might I add, humane, because they make it a point not to kill any of these rabbits. They actually show after the grandma is saved and thanks them, they go back to their house. Excuse me. And it's shown that they keep all the rabbits, which can't be sustainable. But they keep all the rabbits, I assume, to rehouse them at a later date. And they feed them, and they're just kind of held there. And they honestly live a better life than they could outside. So, very humane and very nice and very fitting for this polite British cartoon. What do they call? Film. This polite British film. That's not an accent. I can't do accents under pressure, guys. Don't think less of me. So then after that, they get a call from Lady Tottington, Lady Tottington, and she's adorable, guys. She is adorable. It is actually so cute. How head over heels Wallace is immediately for her, and personally, usually I don't go for straight couples in cartoons. I just find them very boring, but this is just like so wholesome that I don't mind it. It also probably has something to do with the fact that she's super rich, but who could blame him, honestly? I could blame Victor though. I blame Victor because Victor is, I think it's just her current boyfriend. It's never really made clear, but Victor is a hunter and he is a gold digger through and through. He just wants Lady Tottenham for her money. And when she calls over Wallace and Gromit to take care of her pest problem of bunny rabbits, because she is head of the vegetable committee and she has this big old yard and there's a lot of gopher holes, which are actually rabbit holes. And she calls them over and they're like, I can do this no problem. And Victor is like, why wouldn't you let me just kill them? Because I'm a man and I kill stuff and that kind of thing. And she's very much like, I don't want anything to get hurt. She's very princess like, very like, I don't want to hurt the animals. They don't know any better. Very Snow White actually, which I think is what some of the imagery comes from. It's very cute, very wholesome. And of course they finish the job. And I could go through scene like this, but the bottom line is after that, uh, one of his inventions, Wallace tries to what not repurpose. What's the word? Re re. Give me the word. Give me repurpose. We're gonna just reprogram. That's what it was. Sorry, peaked. Uh, reprogram the rabbits into not liking vegetables anymore. Which, when I was watching that, I said out loud, that seems like not responsible because they're rabbits and I don't think they eat meat at all. I don't think they can eat meat. That doesn't seem responsible. But, it's a cartoon. It's besides the point. I have a I have a habit of overanalyzing things and especially cartoons because I like cartoons more than anything else. But even I sometimes have to go, sometimes it's just a cartoon and that's the logic. That's the reason why. And you just got to accept that. And I'm fine with that. But yeah, he tries to reprogram these rabbits using his like mind reading device. Again, not entirely clear what the purpose of it is, but he uses the moon, like energy from the moon. That was a burp. Cut that out. He uses the energy of the moon to power his machine and then share his thoughts with the rabbits in order to reprogram them. So everything's going fine, but all of a sudden something goes wrong with the machine and instead of reprogramming the rabbits sort of reprogram him. And I think the reason why they use the moon is because this whole movie is actually a parody of like really classic horror films like Frankenstein and especially like the werewolf. I think the werewolf is more applicable than Frankenstein. But those horror films of like there's a small town and there's a monster and what are we going to do about it? That kind of thing. And it's just a fun little romp into parody town. And I appreciate it's not a satire because I think the difference between a parody and a satire is a parody is trying to have fun. A satire is fun on accident. I could be wrong, but that's just how I personally see it. Whenever a person says like it's just satire, that usually means that I don't want to be called out for making a racist joke, so I'm just going to call it satire. And it's like, you're not doing satire, you're just being racist. What was the point? What was I talking about? You're supposed to keep me on track. What did I say? Guys, hey, what did I say? What did I say? Keep me on track. I'm gonna treat you like a dog. Drop it. Drop it. I'm not sure if the peeking is a bad thing. Cut that out. Where was I? Cut all of this out too. Oh, so yeah, so the machine goes bad, and it turns out that by merging his thoughts with the bunny rabbits, one of the rabbits is turning into him, and he's turning into a big old bunny rabbit. And he has this werewolf transformation where he turns into this super huge rabbit who goes and eats all of the vegetables, which, for a normal town would just be an inconvenience. But for this town, who's cray cray bananas for all of their vegetables and the vegetable competition coming up, this is not a good thing because all of their prize pumpkins and cabbages and eggplants and carrots are all being gobbled up by this big were rabbit. And they are having just the most British reaction to it, because it's like, I haven't seen a horrid cataclysmic event since 1967 when it was mosquitoes. Oh no, it wasn't mosquitoes. When it was the slugs. The slugs is way more British to say that it was a cataclysmic event. Yeah, and then they just have all these shenanigans trying to figure out who the were-rabbit is, or trying to find it rather. And there's conflict, and Gromit finds out that Wallace is in fact the shape-shifting were-rabbit who goes on a rampage every night. Wallace doesn't want to believe it at first, but then they see the bunny who is turning into him. Side note, that is the creepiest shit I have ever seen, and I mean that. This is a film that was made and released almost 20 years ago, and the Wallace rabbit is the creepiest. Like, there's some worrying and troubling implications of a rabbit with human sentience. Mostly, Wallace gets changed back at the end of the film, but the rabbit doesn't. I have a lot of questions, but again, maybe best to just be like, this is a cartoon, and cartoon logic. Just gotta be okay with it. But yeah, then once they find out that he's the were-rabbit, we go into this like, okay, well, how do we fix this? And then while they're doing that, like all peacefully, Victor is off being a scumbag and looking for stuff to kill it, because I can't remember how he figures it out, but oh no, he figures out that Wallace is the were-rabbit because he shapeshifts in front of him, and it is so, like, this is one of the fun facts. Hey guys, I wrote down fun facts for this because the entire film took 5 years to make. Imagine that, 5 years, 5 years for an animation film, and it's only an hour and a half long. I imagine live action films might take like what, 2 to 3 years. Avatar: The Way of Water took 10 years, but let's not talk about James Cameron. I could talk for. But yeah, 5 years for an animated motion picture. And 2 of those years were dedicated to this very transformation scene. And everything in stop motion takes forever, but still, just to get a sense for the scale of it, like, it would be about a minute a day if you're lucky. Like a minute, maybe 3 minutes a day for 2 years for that one scene that's like 5 minutes long. Nah, I'm not doing math right, but you get what I mean. Like, that's a long time for not a lot of give back. I feel like I've been talking louder the longer I've gotten on, and it might be a problem. I don't know. Again, I don't know if the peaking is a good or a bad thing, but they'll tell me. I hope. I hope they'll correct me. But yeah, talking more on the art aspect of it, like I said, the stop motion for art nerds is just, it scratches that part of your brain because I think every artist is just a little bit obsessive about their work. I'm definitely that way, and to see something be such the culmination of such a project, of such a concept, of this obsessiveness over your work and making it perfect and making it good and making a good story, I just think that is very compelling. And stop motion is just that personified 10 times over. And it's so amazing to look at. Uh, yeah, and the third act is just basic stuff like the were rabbit comes out and they have a fight, and honestly, just go watch it so you can see what I'm talking about because I'm not going to handhold you through the entire movie. I will be here forever. But then they have their fight over the vegetable patch. It's very climactic, I guess is a word I'll use. And Victor tries to kill him with golden bullets, which is. Wait, this is funny. This is one of the scenes I wanted to talk about, but I guess I'll put it here. The scene where Victor goes to get a weapon from the priest to kill the were-rabbit, instead of the cliche silver bullets for werewolves, the bullets are made of gold. And Victor is like, why gold? And the priest is like, it's 24 karat. He doesn't laugh like that. But I'll admit, you got a good chuckle out of me. Priest man, you got a good chuckle out of me. I'll give it to you. But yeah, he tries to kill him with the bullets, and in doing so shows his true colors to Toddy, who, because she's so smart, recognizes that Wallace is Wallace as a were-rabbit. That's also a really cute scene where she recognizes him because of the stimming thing that he does. Like when he's happy, he does this stim where he waves his hands like palms up to the sky near his head, and it's the cutest thing ever. And she recognizes that as one of his tics, and it's just, oh my god, it is really cute. It is very cute. I'll give him that. And that's how she recognizes him, and she's smart and she recognizes that. And then Victor also gives away the ghost in revealing that he knows that he's been trying to kill Wallace because he's jealous and a gold digger and wants Toddy all for himself. Well, I say Toddy. He wants Toddy's money all to himself. That's really it. But then, in showing his true colors, it is revealed and he's the big villain. And then no, he doesn't die. He gets chased off in the bunny suit that they were using earlier to try and lure out the were-rabbit before they knew the were-rabbit was Wallace. And it's very funny, and he gets chased off by the mob that was gathered for the were-rabbit. Poetic cinema. You reap what you sow, and what you reaped was cruelty. Wait, that was bars, actually. Guys, I can get poetic when I'm talking for half an hour straight. But there is some other stuff. We're almost to half an hour now. I will cut out some stuff still. But there's still some stuff that I want to talk about just briefly as we're winding down for this first episode. Some of the themes that I found interesting as in a kid's film to put in was the humanitarian aspect of it, because Wallace and Gromit are very humane in the way that they take care of pest problems, and they're very efficient and effective, and they're good at their job up until the point where they tried to reprogram living beings. But that's he's just a little silly. He's just a little silly mad scientist, and I won't even call him mad. He's not mad. He just loves cheese. That's also his thing. He loves cheese and he does science. That's his two things. And he's also very British. 3 things. He is a very ranged man. Ranged? He has range. What was I talking about? Oh, and they're very effective at their job. They're very good at their job, and you can tell that because that all of their clients are literally everyone in the town. Everyone trusts in them to do their job because they're good at their job. Compare that to Victor. Homeboy can't even get a single rabbit when it's infesting his girlfriend's yard. And when I say infestation of her yard, I mean infestation. Like, there is At least 30. Excuse me. Cut that out. I think that's just. I'm on the fence whether or not cut that out will be a bit that I do continually because I find it funny. I don't know if anyone else will find it funny, but I find it funny when someone says cut that out and then you see it so you know it hasn't been cut out. Maybe I'll just make that my one of my main bits. I think it's funny. And if I'm not entertaining myself, then who am I entertaining? In theory, I'm entertaining you, but you're the void. You're a nothing. You're a specific nothing, but you're nothing. So, really, what I'm trying to do is entertain myself for an hour or so. I'm doing that for me. So, yeah. But contrast that with Victor's, like, he can't even get one rabbit in the hole. It's like shooting fish in a barrel, and he can't even do that. Contrast between a very effective, peaceful person doing their job and a very cruel, very vindictive, and selfish person trying to do it much more aggressively, much more to what society deems as manly activity as hunting, which kind of goes into the next theme, which is hunting. Excuse me, water break. Which kind of goes into the next theme, which is hunting, which, as I was saying, is kind of like you say hunting and then society will probably go like, yeah, manly sport, which is interesting. Why is killing things a sport? I would say that hunting is more of a necessity. I get to use my anthropology lessons, my anthropology skills. That was a fun class. So before we as a society, as a civilization moved into agricultural, we were a hunter and gatherer sort of civilization. And many anthropology experts state that agriculture was the beginning of the downfall, which is a really interesting concept when you think about it. It's like agriculture, which is one of our saving graces, I think we would say today, because, it's all of our food and all of our everything, being the downfall. And when you think about it, it kind of makes sense because that's the beginning of like mass producing from a few to the many, and it's less balanced, less equal, and it leaves open the opportunity for corrupt powers to take advantage of that and have it be like, instead of few for many, it's one for some. You know what I mean? Like it's 1% to maybe 40, 50%. And then the other 40, I did math, the other 40% that's at the bottom, who cares about them? It's kind of that mindset. Or at least how I understood it. I should read that book again. That was a good book. Anthropology was a good class. I think everyone should take it. They use this in the marketing. Marketing for anthropology class. Some weird person talked for half an hour and somehow got onto the road of anthropology and agricultural civilization. What will they talk about next? See an anthropology class, Ooh, another scene I wanted to talk about in particular in this last 5 minutes because I can't talk for another 20 minutes. My throat is killing me. The last scene I want to talk about was, it's like in the middle or so of Act 2. There's usually 3 acts, right? So it's Act 2 and the entire town is holding a meeting to talk about the were-rabbit problem. And the priest comes in and he fulfills his role because he was attacked by the were-rabbit. So he fulfills his role in this parody of horror movies of warning the town of their sins and they must repent. And this is the 12 plagues. I don't remember how many plagues there were. This is our punishment for growing vegetables far beyond their natural size, I think was the reasoning. Okay, Grandpa. Yeah, is what I would usually say, but he's not right about God. Oh my God, what a topic to bring into my first episode. I won't talk about that on this first episode. That's just a funny statement. But he is right about there being a were-rabbit problem, about there being a huge monster, and it's a problem. And he's warning them, and they're in the church. They're holding the town meeting at the church. And Victor strides in, big man with a gun, and with a full head of fake hair. Dumbass toupee. He is like, I shall kill the rabbit. I shall do it because I am manly and I am a killer and I've killed stuff. I don't think he's killed a single thing in the entire runtime of the movie, which just adds another level of sweet irony to the themes that they're trying to portray. And the uselessness of this mindset, truly. Because not only is it harmful to yourself and everyone around you, but it's stupid and wrong. Practically wise. It's not practical, it's wrong. And he comes in, he's like, I'm gonna kill the were-rabbit. And then Toddy comes in on the other side, is like, isn't there another way that we could solve this problem? Because she's Snow White, basically. But yeah, the reason I want to talk about the scene is that there's imagery behind Toddy, because she's standing at the pedestal, and she has a halo of light around her. And when she moves, it's seen that was part of a statue. And it's so genius. And then when we turn back to Victor, he has horns, like the devil. And when he moves into it, whereas Toddy moved out of it. But when he moves into it, it's seen like, oh, the pitchfork. The pitchfork is his horns. And it was such a small moment, but it was so clever. Because each move, that's another reason why I love stop motion, is because it's so purposeful. Animation, as in general, as a medium, is so particular and so purposeful. You have to go into every scene with intent. And I love that. Because if you don't know why you're doing something, you won't know what to do to accomplish it. You need to have a goal in mind. And with animation, and especially with stop motion, you need to know exactly what you're doing and to know exactly how you want to do it. I just think that's so admirable in a medium, in an art profession, to be doing that. I think it's something that every artist could take into their work, is to be like, what am I doing and what intent am I doing it with? I think that's just very special to me. I'm not getting choked up. I'm just very parched. As I said. Excuse me. Oh, so I have one more thing. I have one fun fact, and I have one more fun observation, let's call it. Because one of them was labeled scenes in particular that I liked, that I want to talk about. But then there's also just observations that occur, like with the costuming and with the makeup and the hair and stuff like that. I think I'll just call fun observations. So, my fun observation is for Toddy, the central point of the right angle, the love right angle, because that's not a triangle. Straight people, let me explain something to you real quick. If you're trying to make a love triangle, and it's one girl and two guys, and the triangle is two guys trying to get with the one girl, that is not a triangle. That is a right angle. Get it right. All right? If you really want a triangle, then it's guy after girl, girl after guy, guy after other guy. And you can flip-flop the genders and whatnot, but I'm tired of people calling it love triangles when in reality, it's just a right angle. It's irritating. It's irritating that I have to hear about it all the time, especially in live action, which is why I like cartoons more. But the fun observation I had for Toddy is that with every scene that she's in, she's rich, so she has a big wardrobe. I have to enunciate. A big wardrobe because she's rich. So every dress that she has in every scene is different, which must have took a while, now that I think about it. But they're also themed, because she's the head of the vegetable council, let's call it. And they're themed after vegetables. And that's just so cute. Really? That's so whimsical. You're going to tell me that you don't like a little plasticine woman being dressed themed as vegetables in a vegetable movie? Come on. You're lying to yourself if you say that you don't like that, because that's adorable. The last scene, I believe, There's one where she's dressed as corn, like the dress is yellow and it's corn, and then she has a shawl which is green. It's the corn. She's a corn shuck. And then the last scene, she's a carrot because her hair is big and orange, and then she has a little shawl that's green. That's a carrot. She's a carrot. It's so fun. It's unbelievably fun. Maybe I'm just easily entertained. Maybe that's it. But, maybe I'm the problem. Perhaps. But, it's fine. That was my fun observation. I just really love when clothing comes into a character and it informs you, because that's also a really interesting part of character design. When I'm designing characters, I am usually focusing on the body shape and the silhouette and the features of the face and stuff like that. But something that people, I don't think about all the time is what the clothes and accessories tell you about a character, because what you see immediately is going to inform you. If it's a good character design, will inform you immediately about who this person is and what they're trying to do. Of course, day-to-day life, people, like normal people, they're not so specific, and that won't track if it's like a day in the life sort of animation, which makes sense. But I'm talking like if you are in an uber specific genre, then your character design and your clothes should reflect that. That's so cool. I just love that. I'm a little nerd when it comes to character design, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And then my fun fact, this last fun fact, I want you all to know. Void, I want you to know that this fun fact is brought to you by my little brother, who will eventually be a guest, because I love them both to death, but I love this one in particular because he gives me lots of fun facts. Every day it's a fun fact, and honestly, I'm pretty sure he knows more than me, and his memory is way better than mine, so it's great to be like, hey, when was this? And he's like, it was this day. And I'm like, you're so right for that. You're amazing. But he said to me very seriously, you should put this on your podcast. And I said, fair enough. I will do that. With the utmost sincerity and urgentness, I will do that. Absolutely. What is your fun fact? And he goes, did you know that in the original, I won't do the voice, in the original Wallace and Gromit shorts, because they started as shorts, because stop motion is hard, he was originally straighter, like his character design, his face was much more like a pole instead of a pole with a cucumber in front of it. You're going to just have to look him up to see what I mean. It's very difficult to describe it. But he started to get more of that cucumber shape in his mouth when he started talking about cheese. Because, when a photographer tells you to say cheese, it's because it makes you smile, it makes your mouth big, and makes it toothy. And when he says cheese, it makes a very satisfying shape with his face and his mouth, and makes it very toothy, very aesthetically pleasing to look at for children. It's for children. And in this particular short that we're talking about, he says the name of a cheese company, Wensleydale. Just say that with me. It's very fun. I've been vocal stimming Wensleydale for like this entire week. Wensleydale. One more time. Wensleydale. Wensleydale. So he says Wensleydale, and that's a British cheese company, I'm pretty sure. It's a cheese manufacturer. And at the time of the short coming out, it's so interesting because it says it, and they didn't know that the company was about to go under, was about to file for bankruptcy. So him saying that boosted their sales so much that it saved them from the brink of bankruptcy. They saved their beloved cheese company with one animated short. With one word. They didn't even talk about it. It was just, he said Wensleydale, and they saved a nation. A nation might be going too far. But yeah, that fun fact was for you, my precious little brother who I want to throw down the stairs sometimes. If you don't have siblings, you won't get that that's a joke. It's a joke. you don't get that that's a joke, you're probably not a middle child. You're probably an only child. You should get some siblings, and then maybe you'll get what I mean, freak. That was also a joke, but you wouldn't get that only child, would you? Okay. I think I've gotten to the point where I'm a bit delirious because I've been talking so long, and I think I will just end it here. It started off rough, I think, and the middle was rough, and the ending was a little rough, but I had fun. Now, I had fun. Yeah, I had fun doing this. I'm excited to keep doing this because I have to do it every week, and I'm actually excited about it because the more you do it, I'll get more used to it, and then I'll get better at it. I think that's also the most exciting thing, that I'll get better at it. I've already committed to this program, so I better get better at it. But yeah, that's all the stuff I had written down in my notes. That's all the stuff I wanted to talk about. Next week, what will I talk about next week? I think I might talk about Mr. Robot, the TV show with Rami Malek. I've been rewatching it, and I realized I never got to the end. So maybe I'll do something about season 1, and then next week after that will be season 2. Maybe. Or maybe Good Omens. I think I want to do a TV show next. Ooh, or Barbie. I want to bring someone on to talk about Barbie, though, because there's just so much to talk about. That's also fun. I also love that we get to take on guests. That'll be so fun. Okay, but I need to end this now, or I'll keep talking forever, because now I've gotten into a groove. So thank you so much for listening, Void. I had a good time. This was a great conversation that we had, you and I. You and I. Me and us? Me and you. I guess you is plural. Okay. This was fun. Thank you so much for listening. Can't wait to do this again. And Pacific Tiger Broadcasting. Yeah! Okay, bye.